The days of putting an engineer in a dark corner with a Snickers bar and a Diet Coke are gone. That just doesn't exist anymore.
Any survey that we've done of EE Times readers going back, I can't count the years, 10, 15 years, we find that all engineers aspire to run their own company, to be entrepreneurs. 80 to 90% of them, maybe 10% or less actually do. The point is, you're the guy who was an engineer who is now running his own company. Walk us through that and what that's like.
Well, it's a long process, and I think I did it maybe a way different than most. I had my own company since I was in college, but I had never planned on having a manufacturing company, and I had actually had some products that were patented that I was selling, and I was having them built by a small contract manufacturer, and he got into financial trouble, so I came and actually bought the company. The plan was never to be actively involved for any length of time, but it just turned out to be a kind of a fun adventure, and we've just ridden the wave all the way on. You know, the funny part is I tell people all the time that the engineering part actually is easy because that's an academic exercise. The running of the company is a much more, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with supply chain, you're dealing with customers, and every one of them is different, and no 2 days are alike. So I think the biggest thing you've got to be able to do as an entrepreneur in any company, but certainly in manufacturing, is be very adaptive. You've got to be able to be flexible, work with people, work with different personalities. I mean, we've had customers that have literally turned red in the face and stomped up and down, and then we've had customers that have been great to work with. And same with our supply base. And then you've got, you know, a manufacturing environment where you've got a lot of different personalities that have to work together every day. And, you know, a lot of my job is being a traffic cop, just trying to make sure everything gets done.
You're all leveraging modular processes, advanced equipment to stay competitive, and you're constantly leaning out all aspects of the business. Is there a consolidation coming?
Yeah, I think what you're going to see is, and what we've seen is, we've seen a real geographic-based migration where to provide the kind of service that we provide, and any CM can provide, you really get a geographically located customer base, meaning, you know, we don't have a lot of customers that are beyond 250 miles of this facility. And so what I think you're going to see is, I think you're going to start to see some partnerships form, and we're actively looking at those, where I can form a partnership with this CM and this CM, and we can get the economies of scales of purchasing, and we're not going to be stepping on each other's toes for customers because our customers don't overlap. And I think you're going to see some of that go on in the next few years.
What keeps you up at night?
Not much. I sleep pretty good. No, I think what really keeps me up at night is I worry more about, I don't so much worry about the business side of things as the people. You know, for me, you know, our business, like so many others, is really people oriented. And so I see, you know, what's keeping me up lately is I see the struggles some of our employees are going through just because of all of the economy and everything else that's going on. And I think I worry more about that than I do our business, because the thing what I have found is the key to our success is by no means me. It is really that I have the best crew in the world, and I stand behind that, and I'll tell anybody that when we decide to build something for a customer, I never worry about the quality of it, or that it's going to be on time, or that there's, you know, some other issue. And so taking care of those people is a big issue, and it's important, and it's you know, with the cost of medical insurance and all the other stuff, that's what keeps me up at night, is trying to make sure that we take care of our people.
Are you satisfied with the engineering skill sets that you're seeing?
The engineers that come out of school really have a great book knowledge, but there's a big chasm between that and what really goes on in the world. And I think part of that is that technology changes so fast that by the time you've completed your education, what you learned about is old technology. And so to me, there's a 2 or 3 year learning curve for engineers that once they come out of school, they almost have to go into an apprenticeship to really understand the way the world works as far as engineering goes, because it's not all that book stuff. That stuff doesn't really apply. I mean, it's good to know because every once in a while I'll even break out my old text and look something up. But for the most part, what I know about engineering, I really didn't learn in school. I learned the basics, but the real stuff you have to learn on the fly. And I think that's, and that's why I think some of the universities, including NC State, are starting these programs where they're forcing these students to get more actively involved in real engineering and real life situations versus just the book stuff, because that to me is the real digression between what you get out of school and what you end up with in the real world.
You've been a design engineer, now you're running a business, so you have at least a dual perspective. Today, in your opinion, what makes a good engineer?
Well, and again, for me, when I look for an engineer that we're going to hire, I really look for the personality more than the knowledge, and I'll tell you why. Because in this world, the days of putting an engineer in a dark corner with a Snickers bar and a Diet Coke are gone. That just doesn't exist anymore. They've got to interact with customers. They've got to interact with other people. They've got to be able to make presentations to both knowledgeable and technically competent people, but also to people that may not be that technically competent. So they have to have a lot of skill sets in the area of people skills. Not so much, and they still have to obviously have the baseline engineering knowledge, of course, but for me it's all about personality. If you've got the right personality, I can teach you the other stuff. That's not hard. That's not rocket science.